Welcome to the channel. One more pack with Jason and Patrick. We've been busy lately, eh? Okay. I
Spoilers.
guess we're gonna I guess we're jumping right into it. I was gonna talk a little bit about how we just opened a card shop. We're doing this TCG simulator bet. That's still ongoing if you've been keeping up with the channel. Um, we got a couple of videos out going out there, but we're going to come back to our regular or more regular programming and talk about Disney Lorcana. Jason, as he showed, he's been busy. He won, not won, he finished well enough to win cards, I guess to say. How'd you do? How'd you do over the weekend?
Played in two tournaments, 2 days in a row, back to back. Played two different decks. My goal for this set championships, because top eight was the prizing, was every tournament I entered, I was going to play a completely different deck. So I'm sticking with that.
Nice.
And I got knocked out in top eight in the first tournament and knocked out in top four in the second tournament, losing to the same color combo, but very different decks.
Cool. Very cool. So first of all, I like these mini goals you give for yourself. You're like, I'm going to join with a different deck every time. And that allows you to see more cards and play with more cards and be more familiar with different strategies, which I like. I think that's awesome. Do you want to jump right in and talk about our decks that we use? Do you want to do you want to do Saturday then Sunday, or did you want to just go decks first and then what do you want to do?
Let's do Saturday and then Sunday.
Okay, let's talk Saturday first. Deck one. Is that what we're seeing on the screen right now?
Yes,
Okay.
it's similar to the deck I played last set champion. It's purple steel and the color combo. Um, so kind of a funny story behind how I made this deck. I had like a lot of the pieces lying around, and like I'd thought about playing it and changed my mind, thought about playing it, and then someone's like, "Oh, do you think this color combo would be good? Like, would amethyst steel be like a good combo?" And I was like, "I don't know. I could throw it together in like a minute." So I literally just grabbed the cards I had like nearby and I shoved them into a deck. And this is not optimized. I didn't do any like play testing. This is just a deck I made. And I was like, yeah, this will probably work.
Okay, cool. I like that. Now just I'm reading this Madame Mim card and it says when you play this character, banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand. So that means that if you play her and you don't have a character, you have to banish her. Is that
Yes.
correct? Put her.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just try to familiarize myself with the cards in your deck.
A little callback there. Yeah, I
Oh, the
mean,
guy in the blue shirt has no idea what he's talking about, Jason.
I love that you're still in a blue shirt.
I know. I just wear blue.
If you guys wonder if Patrick reads the comments, he definitely does.
100%. I love you guys.
Um, I feel like we don't need to go through the whole deck in terms of like what each card does because it's very similar to stuff we've seen before. So kind of just quickly, like, we'll scroll through here. You got three Cogsworth, four Hook, four Snake, four Smee, four Fox, two Crab, two Lawrence, four Pete, Tinkerbell Little and Big, two of each, Goat, Rabbit, totally standard there, two Bell, easily the most cuttable card from this deck, but it's my favorite card in the game, so I keep playing with it. Three Elsa. I literally don't have a fourth, and I threw together cards I have, so it should be four of for sure.
Okay.
Uh, one Baboom and three Smash for no reason. It could have been four Smash or four Baboom, and I was like, this seems fine. Three Zeus, four Friends on the other side, two Grab Your Swords, and three Castles.
I like it. Now, so you threw this deck together on a whim. Would you consider min-maxing it a little bit better and tweaking it to get better with it? Or is it like, nah, I played it, I'm done. I'm gonna play something else.
I'm done with this deck. I
Okay.
think if you're looking at this and you're like, what do I need to kind of tweak? I think the things to look at are you probably could live without Bell, you probably could live without Lawrence, and you maybe could live without Crab. Those are the cards I'd look at as like, what would modify the deck in a positive way. I think another Baboom wouldn't be terrible or Smash. I think another two tap Quester that's like a two or a one drop, like a Maleficent, would probably be pretty good, kind of closer to Spessie's list from the last set.
Okay.
But we got to talk about Pete. Do you remember when we talked going into set five about how I was going to play a deck where I played Pete, bounce Pete, play Pete, bounce Pete, play Pete, bounce Pete, play Pete?
Yes, I remember that specifically.
I did it with the same Pete. 6 turns in a row to win a game.
No,
Yeah,
no way. It works.
I I
Here,
my
pull up the card. Pull up the card.
yeah,
Zoom.
yeah,
Yeah, make
absolutely.
it big. Yeah, let's get it there on the screen. So I'll read it out for you guys. When you play this character, opponents can't play actions until the start of your next turn. So basically, if any of you have ever played Uno, this is the skip card. This is skip your turn.
Kind of, yeah. It's if you're playing a Steel Song, it definitely is skip your turn. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Um, okay, I guess we go through the matches in order. Round one, I played red blue, very tight. I got to 19, and then they won. And then when they were on the play, they won. Really hard matchup. You've got to see Smee immediately and get questing right away. You have to get within goat distance. Um, Round two, I played an emerald discard deck. This does really well into discard because you're so good at drawing cards. No worries there. Played green steel discard, kind of the same thing. However, I did in game three get kind of locked out of the board, and I was forced to Pete my way back into the game by literally bouncing Pete every single turn,
That's
replaying
crazy.
Pete every single turn to just give me enough time to get back into the game, and it totally worked. And my opponent was just like, "This is so frustrating."
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, brutal. Um, I played after that a another discard deck. So that was kind of a funny one too. This person was also kind of like new to their deck a little bit. And I guess they understood how their deck worked, but they didn't understand how to counter it. And we had a video about this previously about how when you're playing discard and you're on kind of amethyst, you don't need to play cards. You just need to wait. And so he was able to look at my hand and saw like, oh, this guy has like a turn one play, a turn two play, a turn three play, a turn four play, pretty good hand. And then when I just inked and then passed, he was like, what? And then I'm like, yeah, no, like pass. And I did again turn two. And he's like, hey, you're really tripping me up, man. Why aren't you playing cards? Like turn three, ink and don't play. And he's like, you can see, and you can see he's kind of just like, what is he doing? Why isn't he playing any cards? And then when turn like six hit, which is usually when they're like, okay, well, how many cards do you have in hand? Like they're going to dump the rest of your hand kind of thing and make sure you have nothing to play. He's like, how many cards do you have in hand? And I'm like, five. And there's like that little recognition, like he has so many cards still. This is why he's in playing.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's talked about a strategy on how to win and you used it. That's good. I like
Um,
it.
yeah, it was that was a fun matchup. Really cool player. Went into the top eight, and then I ran into green purple deck that I'd never played against before or seen before. I didn't understand how to play against it at all. I thought it would be who could draw more cards wins kind
Mhm.
of situation if I just out resource this person. But they played Big Clarabelle. We'll put it on the screen for you now. And what this card says is at the end of your turn, you can draw up to as many cards as in your opponent's hand.
Yes.
So the board was even. I had a full hand. He had nothing. And I was like, I got this. Like, he's going to run out of steam here. Plays this card, reloads 8 cards. And I was like, I lose.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And that,
tough.
and that was me not understanding the matchup. And I mean, that's going to happen sometimes, especially if you're playing different new decks that you haven't even practiced. So kudos to that player. Very good. Consistently like a top four, top eight player, and he played really well. I just didn't understand how his deck worked, and I got burned for it.
All right. The one thing I did want to say is, I feel like the last time we did a video, we were looking at these decks and they were $400, $300. So what's going on here? Is the price of the cards going down, or did you just find a cheap build of this deck is a cheap build, or the price is actually coming down, making cards more easily accessible?
This is just a reasonably priced deck. It probably, if you were to actually go buy all the cards, probably cost you like 100 and well, I think the 116 is US. So that makes it for Canadians probably like 150-ish.
Okay.
Um, so it is not like free, but yeah, it is on the cheaper side. It's not playing any legendaries. So that kind of drives down the cost quite a bit.
Yeah.
As we've seen this game, super rares and rares are pretty easy to come by, and legendaries are not that bad. With them topping out at like 60, $70. So I think it's just a reasonably priced deck, and this is a reasonably priced strategy that's just good. It's not great, it's not terrible. If you think you're a consistent player, this deck will win you half your games.
Hmm, nice. And it obviously was good enough to get you eighth spot and one card.
Yeah, that's one Mirabel down.
So we already talked about the results. So you finished this one eighth. You still did receive a card. So is that tournament size that now 8 people are getting the card? Because before was it 4 getting the stitches and
Yeah, so Stitch and Ursula was top 4 got the card, top 2 got the mat. They've changed it now to be top 8 get the card, top 2 get the mat, which really takes a lot of the pressure off because usually it's top cut to 8.
Mhm.
So in both tournaments, they were roughly the same 28, 30-ish people. And so in both scenarios, once you could lock in getting in the top 8, you get in the top 8 and you just kind of like sit back, relax, get your card, and then you get to play for the mat in this little mini tournament kind of after.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it
I
was
was just
fun.
curious about that. Something that changed a bit. Do you want to move over to Sunday?
I will talk about the meta in this store for a second here. It was so heavy of red blue. Like
Okay. Yeah.
red blue, there was like 6 or 7 people on it, which was by far the most represented deck. And in the top tables, like top 4 tables, let's say, at any given point, 6 red blue decks were in the top 12 people. So
Yeah.
like half basically. And then but really only made it into the top 8 was like 2 of them. So it
Interesting.
really consistent during the tournament portion, but then it lost some key matchups. So it was interesting to see it kind of like go up and then start playing other good, really good decks and then kind of peter out. And I think that confirms kind of one thing I've said about red blue in general is there's like 2 caps to it. You can be an unreal player and play it amazing, and it's probably as close to an unbeatable deck as there exists in the game. And if you're a mediocre player or like a poor player, I think it can bump you a rung from mediocre to good and from poor to mediocre because the deck is so solid and consistent.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate the fact that like if you're someone who's like, oh man, I'm always coming in ninth, I'm just outside of the bubble, maybe consider red blue because it is just this little bump of consistency with the draw and the constant playing. Like you might notice like a slight uptick in win percentage.
That's great advice. I found that as a new player, red blue was very easy to learn. Some of the other decks take a little bit more, whether it's strategy or I don't know what you call it. It seems like more of a simple deck to like just understand the win conditions with it. So I found that as a new player, it was good for me to use just to get into the game.
I think it also helps too that it has like a very stagnant mulligan strategy. You almost have exactly the 4 cards you're looking for, and nothing really else matters. And if you don't draw the cards you need, you draw cards to draw into the cards you need, which is kind of helpful.
Awesome. All right. Well, before we move on to Sunday, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back after these messages. And we're back after, a quick message from our sponsors.
The
Um,
sponsor.
we're we're going to jump right into Sunday's matches and Sunday's deck. So we have new colors on the board. Well, actually, only one new color on the board. So you kept steel, got rid of the purple, and brought in green. So you're playing a emerald steel.
So the overlap here is 4 Pete and 2 giant Tinkerbells. Everything else is new.
Okay, fair.
We're not going to spend a ton of time with this deck. There are better players than me that play it. This is the DLC Vegas winning deck that Zan played. So if you're looking for a breakdown on how to play it, go see his videos. He's a DLC winner, way better than us. Um, I'll instead talk about why I played this deck.
Have you ever played him?
I met him.
Have you ever played him?
No,
You could be better than him.
true. Our record is even at the moment.
Yeah. Tied for first.
Um, the reason I played this deck is that it is very complicated. This deck probably has the most nuanced plays and the most trigger interactions, and I wanted to challenge myself to try to win with a deck that I knew could beat anybody, but also could lose if you played it wrong. Uh, I've I never played the deck before. I played it the night before in a Tim Hortons for half an hour with a friend just to like get a game in, kind of to understand how it worked. Um, and then I was like, cool, gonna show up and I'm gonna, just I understand what I'm supposed to do, even though I've never done it before, and I think I can pull it off. And I top forward with it.
Nice.
Uh,
That's awesome.
so the deck is a discard deck using Prince John to draw a lot. You got Hypnotize in there, which has become a new kind of resurgent card, songs and everything, and Pete, of course, carrying the workload for stalling. Yeah, this is such a fun deck to play because it's so complicated. I feel like Bucky discard was very straightforward. Turn two Bucky, start making the discard by just playing any other Floodborn. This is like singing discard or using Anna or when to use and how to use this card is complicated but so fun. Like this is one of their first choose one cards, and I think this is a great direction for the game to take. Hopefully they stay within this power level where it's like very good but not so broken you got to have four of in your deck.
Mhm.
So versatile in so many matchups. Yeah, I had a ton of fun playing this deck. This was really cool to try.
Listen, that's fun. I do, I've got to bring it up again, and I'm kind of, you have all these cards, and it's $483. Why don't we have sponsors? What we need sponsors.
What one funny thing about this deck is I actually was short one Beast Tragic Hero, which is a $50 card, because I we graded it. So we have a graded Beast Tragic Hero foil, and my deck was incomplete.
Why? Why?
I borrowed one from somebody, but yeah, it was funny.
Is that against the rules? Are you allowed to take borrow cards from other players?
As long as in my deck before the tournament starts.
All right, all right, all right. That's fair.
Um, yeah, really fun time. The matches I played, I played I played the winner from the day before round one, who I like consistently play in like top four and stuff. They were on hyper aggro. Luckily, I had helped someone else practice with hyper aggro a whole bunch, so I knew the matchup really well, and then I drew really well, which helped a lot. So I knew what I was doing, and I drew well. I was able to beat him there. Went through the day going 2-1. I lost to a Steel Song deck somewhere in the middle. I beat Amethyst Steel Locations. Super fun deck, super random. Really cool. Had a lot of fun playing that player. Something completely like someone brought something of their own making that was super different, and it was like doing well.
That's good. I like stuff like that.
I love it. Like so much fun. Um, and then I ended up beating out. What's the last one I beat out? Oh, I played a red purple player who is very good. Her and I have matched up. She knocked me out in from getting top eight in Ursula's last time around.
Yeah, I
She
think I
beat me
remember
in
that.
the she beat me in one of the final rounds. So she's a really good player, super fun person. We played really tight games. I managed to squeak out a win there though. Drew into the top eight, and then the person I played against in top eight for to go to top four was the friend I practiced with the night before. So he knew exactly what I was playing. I knew exactly what he was playing, and we'd played the matchup before, and we knew it was 50-50. Really fun game, and that was just kind of cool. It went to three.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
That's the problem with practicing with all the people that you're going to the tournament with.
Yeah, a little bit.
You guys have to play each other.
Went into top four, played against Purple Green again, but a completely different version of Purple Green this time. That player, really good player, has tweaked his deck so much, and it's like really, really good. Was definitely the favorite to win, I think, both days. But yeah, they curb stomped me. I drew badly, and they played well. So it's kind of like there was no hope in the final four for
Uh,
me. But it was fun. It was cool. It was fun to make top four again and to win a second card.
Mission accomplished. That's what you were going for. The results are still good. No mats, which is okay. Did
I
you
think I have one more tournament in me.
get a mat from Ursula's?
No, I never got a mat.
Yeah. So only from the Stitch you got the mats. Yeah.
I got I got four Stitch matches. There are three Stitch mats and no of anything else.
Come on, man. You're supposed to be our resident pro Lorcana player. You got to step it up.
The game's passing me by. Um, Meta for the second tournament was funny because it was close to the first tournament, like their two stores are nearby. So the reaction from all the red blue was a bunch of people brought hyper aggro.
Uh
So like the tournament meta literally like responded to the previous day.
People were the same. Like, was it 50% or more?
I would say it was probably 60% the same people.
It makes sense. The community is a small community and everyone travels obviously to play in these tournaments. So that does
The,
make sense.
the funny thing is the chunk of players that we didn't like recognize that were from out of town, were people then that brought decks that the meta had adjusted for.
Oh,
So they were the ones bringing red blue to this tournament, and this tournament had teched against red blue.
that's funny.
So
So they
it
all
kind of
did not do well.
no, kind of walked into the lion's den there. I
Uh,
think one non-local made to top four, but I think top eight was all people that were like local to the scene.
cool. Very
Yeah,
cool. Well, it sounds like a fun weekend. Glad you got some results. You do have a third tournament you said in you?
I think so. I think I would. So again, I'm not going to play the same decks I've played already. I want to try something completely different, and I think I want to try Hyper Aggro next.
Okay.
I would say like Green Steel discard is not something I enjoy that much. Hyper Aggro is also not something I enjoy that much. I'm just doing it to try something different.
Can we
So
just clip here hold on, just clip you just saying how much fun it was to play that deck when you were talking about it? We're just gonna have a little video of you saying that as you say, and just
I did it for.
editing team, can you get on that, please?
It
Yeah,
was
just
fun to be challenged to play the last deck. I not that I that's my play style, I would say.
our editing team will take care of that one.
God damn it. Oh man. The hyper
All right,
aggro,
sorry. New
that's
tournament, new
fine.
deck. Let's
Uh,
talk about it.
I think this is what I would play. I think this is just like you're presenting lethal on turn four. This is a crazy way to finish the game where you give both of you cards for free, like no mana cost or no ink cost. And then you're just like, if I draw a card that gets me lower, I win.
Right.
Yeah, this deck is so like I was watching other people play it and they look like they're having a blast and they're going da 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 da, and I'm like, I want to try.
Fair enough. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
uh,
if you don't draw answers, you lose. Like you have to. This deck will always draw well, moderately well. Your deck has to draw also good to beat it.
oh, is there? Oh, yeah. The piglet card I was looking at because that card to me, when I play against this type of deck, I find it so frustrating. Piglet, the plus two, I don't know if you want to pull it up, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Just talking about a card, pull it up. Yeah, well, you have two like plus two lore, like it's like a three lore hit counter. It's like, oh my god, like that can go quick. And
If
if you don't have a response for the board, whew,
so, effectively, like with very few exceptions, unless you have like a singer on board for turn one, if
yeah,
your opponent plays Daisy, there's no one drop that can kill it. So they quest for two, and then on the turn they quest for two, they play Piglet. Again, you need to have a very specific answer, or I can't kill that on your turn two. So if you go two lore from Daisy, and then on the turn after you go five lore between the two of them,
yeah,
and drop like a Baloo, right? So you're now at seven with another guaranteed two coming. They have to
yeah,
get through this to get to those, which aren't necessarily easy to kill.
yeah.
You almost always, if you can hit your like moderately good opening, get to like 14 or 15 lore and then run out of cards. And then it becomes this like strategic, like, how do I get my last four or five?
Yeah, yeah. That's cool. I'd love to try that deck. That it does look like a lot of fun. I've never played it. I've just played against it. Um,
Help with some testing, some things we found. So first of all, I did not know this. Befuddle can bounce items.
okay.
It's been there the whole time. I never read the card properly. I didn't know it could do that. I always thought of it as character bounce, but cool. Um, one thing we removed from I think the standard version of this deck is no Rapunzels, and 4 Simbas now I think are very key. I think Simba does a lot of work in this matchup. The bodyguard, the 3 body,
Yeah.
really helps.
And if you're depending on what deck you're playing or how they started, maybe a Simba versus a Baloo to maybe add some protection against something that can attack, that
Yeah,
can
like
challenge.
if you see your opponent has a slow start, instead of playing Baloo, you can go Simba Lilo or Simba Maleficent, and you're threatening way more lore long term, and they're just the problems keep stacking.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. That will be fun. Let me know how it goes.
Will do.
Any big tournaments coming up? Do you have what's next on the docket there? You just fit Toronto finished in September or August, maybe it was.
I think Seattle's next at the end of this
Okay.
month, and that's all I'm really aware of. And I'm not going to Seattle, so
No, no plans to go to Seattle.
no plans to go to Seattle.
You sure?
We have a wedding that weekend.
Oh, like me too?
Yeah, you too.
That's okay.
I would have been tempted if I didn't have the wedding. I have enough points saved up. I could take a flight.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
I would say if you're preparing for your set championships and you want to win a Mirabel, I would strongly consider Purple Steel. It's a cheaper deck to put together. I would make some slight tweaks to this personally if I was going through it again. Probably get rid of the Lawrence. I would go to 4 Elsas, probably get rid of Belle, probably up my Baboom count by 1. But cheap deck, very straightforward how to play, and you are versatile enough to beat a lot of other decks in the current meta. Captain Hook against those hyper aggro decks is MVP. Challenger 2 on a 1. He doesn't take care of Daisy, but it gets real close. So something to keep in mind. And then Cogsworth as well, turning that Captain Hook turn 2 into a rush play if you need it. Like you've got options with this deck. If you're looking for, if you've already won a Mirabel and you want to just completely challenge yourself, try this. This is not simple to play. It's probably the best deck in the game, but there's so much nuance to it. It's very complicated, and you have to know what to keep, when to keep it, how to play it. Again, I'm not going to go through that stuff because you can listen to a champion describe it and just go see Zan's content. And then if you're looking for something that always has a chance to win and always has, puts on the pressure, this hyper aggro deck is crazy, and you can almost always win a game. You'll come real close a bunch of times and lose, but you also convert a whole bunch more, I think. And with the current meta mostly being red-blue players, I think in most places, this is going to be very effective.
Absolutely incredible. Good stuff. I think those are three great options. And good luck to anyone who has a tournament coming up.
Yeah, good luck. I'm rooting for you.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel because we need more viewers to get sponsors to afford these decks. They're getting expensive.
I can't expect. Well, not all of them.
Not all of them. Yeah. Can
Some
you
of them.
play some cheaper decks? Could you just, let's just keep it. We could sell that one deck and buy 2 other decks.
This is the
Just
cheapest.
saying.
Hey, this is the cheapest deck I've ever played,
I like it. Let's keep that up.
and this is the most expensive deck I've ever played.
Yeah. Sell that, buy 2 of the cheaper decks.
Okay, okay.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.